From fourth grade dropout to doctor, Green Beret and FBI analyst, Dr. Apollo Emeka has built a life defined by bold decisions. Today, he's helping leaders and entrepreneurs around the world make choices that create momentum. Please welcome Dr. Apollo Emeka. This episode of the Rebel Rebel is brought to you by my book, BrandJitsu. Most brands blend in. They don't mean to, but they do. After 25 years of helping people fix that, I wrote the playbook. It's called BrandJitsu, Move Your Brand from Meh to Memorable. It'll show you how to shape your story so it hits and sticks. Grab a copy at your favorite bookstore or head to brandjitsu.com. Welcome to the Rebel Rebel. I'm your host, Michael Dargy, and somewhere across the world, we're going to find out where. Please welcome Dr. Apollo Emeka. Doctor,
hey, what's happening,
how the
Michael?
heck are you? I'm good.
I'm awesome. I'm awesome as well.
Nice. So just to help us geolocate you, not specifically, but just where in the world are you right now?
I am in Panama City, Panama.
What? No,
absolutely, yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost as surprising to me as it is to you.
We're gonna find out about that, I think. I think you are the first guest on the Rebel Rebel from Panama.
Hey, there we go. There we go.
Yes,
I
sir.
love it.
All right. So, should I call you Doctor throughout the or Apollo?
Oh man, I got the doctorate so that people would introduce me that way and would so Dr. Emeka, and I could just be like, oh, pish posh, please, come on, Michael, call me Apollo, please. Okay.
Oh wow,
yeah,
what a gracious guy.
All those years just so I could have that one interaction of, come on, hey, I put my pants on one leg at a time just like you, Michael. Please call me Apollo.
I'm just a regular guy. Oh my God, that's amazing. All right, well, thank you for that. I appreciate it. I'll call you Apollo from now on. That's so funny. Okay, so just again, so that we can have a frame of reference, what are you doing right now in Panama?
So what I'm doing right now in Panama is living maybe the best life ever. We, in January of this year, of 2025, we were living in Pasadena, where my wife was born and raised. And we were hit by the Eaton fire that came through and wiped out 9,400 structures in Altadena, which is it's like a highly residential, dense residential, neighbor of Pasadena. Yeah. And we had to evacuate. It took my mother-in-law's home, my wife's childhood home.
Oh, no.
And we were evacuated down to San Diego, and we're sitting in the backyard of this, Airbnb in beautiful San Diego, and ashes started falling on us in San Diego. And I was like, oh my gosh, some fires kicked off down there. And it was a moment for us to pause and really take stock of where we were as a family. And I was talking to a friend, and I said, man, I feel like I need to make a big change. I feel like maybe we got to get way out of here. And she said, have you ever been to Panama? I was just there and it's amazing. And I was like, oh no, I've never been. And got off the phone with her and basically tried to find all the reasons not to move to Panama in 20 minutes. So I was like, Panama hurricanes, Panama tidal wave, Panama earthquake, Panama safety, Panama economy. And I could not find a good reason not to move to Panama. So I walked into the Airbnb and said to my wife, hey babe, are we supposed to move to Panama? And she said, maybe. And 30 days later, we were here, having never been here, 2 young kids. And it's been amazing.
Wow. Well, I've heard that. I've heard it's one of the best places in the world to live. Also, it's got great commerce as well.
Yeah. I mean, so I'm a big decisions guy. I kind of view life.
Apparently. Babe, are we supposed to go to Panama? Sure.
I mean, I view life through the lens of big decisions. And I didn't go to a lot of school growing up. I had a very unconventional upbringing, and the very first academic program that I ever graduated from was not middle, elementary, or high school. It was military intelligence school, and that's where you learn how to make.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Stand by. Military intelligence school.
Yeah. So again, didn't go to much school growing up. My parents were kind of hippies, I guess, and
there's a lot to unpack here. Just time out for 1 second. Okay, I want to get there.
Okay,
I want to back up a sec. So like what does your day to day look like? What do you do for work, or do you? Are you independently wealthy and just decide to go to Panama and your feet are up and you're drinking margaritas? Like,
wait, so you don't want to talk about my 4th grade interactions between me and my parents? I thought this was going to be like a therapy session, Michael.
Oh, I do though.
Okay. All right.
We need context.
Okay, thank goodness.
Yeah,
thank goodness.
No, we'll
all right.
There.
And good, because I need to get some stuff off my chest. Thank you.
I'm here for you, brother.
So day to day, what does my day to day look like here in Panama? It's I am working. So basically what I help entrepreneurs and executives do is make really big, bold decisions that are so bold that the path forward becomes obvious.
Right.
And I've been doing this for about the last 8 or 9 years after exiting another business. And so, post pandemic, it just became really easy to do that kind of work from anywhere, because the expectation that you were in person, it flipped, right? Like it was the default before that you were going to be in person.
Yeah.
And then post pandemic, if you didn't need to be in person, the default almost became that like you wouldn't be. And so I have been doing the same kind of work supporting entrepreneurs and executives in making big, bold decisions and improving their ability to make decisions confidently. And so, my day, we've talked about mornings before.
Love mornings.
I love mornings, and I spent, as there was a teaser there, I spent a bunch of time in the military.
Yeah.
And so that reinforced it. But, I wake up, I have a 5 o'clock alarm.
Yep.
But I am typically awake before my alarm goes off. This morning, I woke up at 4:59, and I was like, yes, I made it.
Nice.
And I was like, I got to jump out of bed before my alarm goes off. So, yeah. And then I have like these old man workouts that I do that are like mobility. It's like more like weird stretches and like, contraptions and like rollers and stuff like that. And then some weights, and then some more stretching.
If you're listening to this and you're not watching it on YouTube or something like that, Apollo looks like he's 37. So when he says old man workouts,
well, I mean, it's become so necessary. My body's been beat up over the years, and then I go like, now I sit a bunch, and so if it's not the intensity beating you up, it's the chair beating you up.
I just realized that you might very well be 37.
I am 41.
Okay.
So I shaved off 4 years.
With your, I need to be clear here that my assumption, given your life history and what you've done, I thought you were much older. So I thought 37 was a pretty big compliment, because I figured that with your life experience and all the stuff you've done, which we'll talk about, you were going to be like 80.
So if you did watch the YouTube video, the reason why Michael is clarifying is because he saw the look on my face where I was about to be like, I almost am 37, Michael.
Mm-hmm. I should have gone with 17, but I thought that would be like patronizing. There's little salt and pepper. I see it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I got a lot of salt and pepper. But it's funny, I'm the youngest of 4 boys, and my oldest brother is 16 years older than I am.
Oh, wow.
And so like by the time he was 30, he looked like he was like 45, but now he's like 56 and he looks like he's 45. So I think I've got the same kind of
that nice
math
gene
working for me.
Love it. That's really cool.
Sorry, Eamon, if you hear this, at 30, you looked old, man.
I'm sure he knew. You gotta know. You know these things. Okay, so I'm fascinated by the big decisions and why, like, what made you this way, and that's really the thrust of the show. It's not just what you do in the world, but it's like how you got there, and then what happens next. So let's go back to that 4-year-old. What happened to little Apollo that made him one day become a guy who makes really big decisions?
Yeah, well, I think that there are 3 kinds of decisions that you can experience. There are inherited decisions, default decisions, and big decisions. Inherited decisions are the ones that you didn't make. You just step into them. So you're born into them, right? Like you don't choose where you live when you're born. You don't choose what language you speak. You don't choose who you're around. You don't choose who you worship, right? If you're coming into a new job, you don't choose the rules in there. You don't choose the culture. Somebody made decisions before you that are going to be impacting you. And so those are, that's one kind of decisions, is inherited decisions. The next is default decisions. And default decisions are kind of just like the next logical step. So like for a lot of people, first kind of default decision they make is like to go to college, and like, where are you going to go? Or, in a new workplace, or in a workplace, a default decision might be, hey, I'm an individual contributor. I guess manager makes sense, right? Oh, okay, I was manager. I guess director makes sense, right? I guess VP makes sense. So these are default decisions. And then there are big decisions. And I'll get to those in just a second. But just to give you the context of the inherited decisions that I was born into.
Yeah. Great explanation, by the way.
Well, thank you.
I'm like, I'm in.
Awesome. So I was born into this environment where my parents made very big decisions before I was born. Just to be married was a massive decision for them because it was still illegal in a number of states for Black and white to marry.
What?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. Yes. Yeah.
Within our lifetime.
Within our lifetime. Yeah, absolutely.
Holy crap.
So yeah. So
way to go, Mr. and Mrs. Emeka.
Exactly. Yeah. When my dad, who's Black from Arkansas, like the deep South, married my mother who's white from Oregon, which is like,
wow, West Side.
Yeah,
West Side.
Exactly. Yeah, my grandmother, my father's mother, was like, hey, you need to carry your marriage license with you everywhere you go, because if you're traveling with this white woman, they might be like, nah.
Wow.
And so that was kind of like this streak of defiance and kind of following your heart and not worrying about what society or the government is going to think. Is my parents, that's the kind of environment that I was born into. And it's funny that you say Mr. and Mrs. Emeka. My father was born, Porter was his last name.
Okay.
But that was a name that was inherited from slavery, and he didn't want to continue that tradition. And he had a Nigerian friend who was running some names past him. And so he chose Emeka slightly after my parents
so
got married.
much. That is badass. I love it.
So that's, again, when we think about these inherited decisions, I was born into an environment where it was like, hey, you follow your heart is the culture that I was born into. And the decisions that I inherited were these follow your heart decisions. And I was born 11 years after this cluster of 3 boys was born. And so like, not only was there that, but my parents were also like tired, And so
I've got 2 boys and I can attest to that.
I believe it. Yeah. And so in 4th grade, I came home from school and I was like, I hate school. And my mom was like, oh, well, we were thinking about homeschooling you. And I said, oh, so for 5th grade, I could just not go back to school? And she said, I remember she was reading a book and she like didn't look up from her book. And she's just like, oh, you don't have to go back tomorrow. And my
what?
yeah, my head exploded.
What the hell?
And so I used to think of this up until about a year ago. I thought of this as this kind of single moment in time where my parents pulled me out of school. But now I realize, about a year ago, I realized that what they did at that time was they handed me the authority to decide when I would be enrolled in school.
What?
And so it was something that I lived with all the way until I officially dropped out of high school. So I would like wake up every day and be like, do I want to be enrolled in school today? You know? And so I finished out that week in like February of 4th grade and just didn't go back the next week. And my parents had intentions of homeschooling me, but they just kind of couldn't wrangle me. So I was just like doing no school and feeling bad. And so I was waking up every morning and I'd be like, oh man, I started feeling like I should be in school. So 5th grade, I was like, I'm going back. That was a fun little experiment, but I was like, I'm going back. And then like 2 weeks in, I was like, oh no, I remember why I didn't want to do this anymore.
Oh my God.
And I popped right back out. So I went to like 3 weeks of 5th grade. And that it was the same thing with basketball, soccer, baseball, everything. I would quit. I would just stop all the way until my mom got pancreatic cancer right after I turned 17 and passed away super quickly. And so I was like, I'm not good at school. I'm in emotional free fall. And so that was like a massive, that's my inherited life. That's what I inherited. And I made my first, I guess my first big decision that I made was not to go to school in 4th grade, but a lot of stuff changed for me at 17.
Wow. Yeah, no kidding. Damn. So I guess, how do we go from 4th grade dropout to doctor? What's the trajectory there?
Yeah, well, I watched a lot of TV growing up. And I loved Saturday Night Live and Mad TV. And I also loved the X-Files. And so from the time that I was like 13, I was like, I'm either going to be in the FBI, like Mulder and Scully, or I'm going to be on Saturday Night Live. And I was like, from the time I was 13.
Wow.
And so when I was 17, I was like, oh my goodness, I am not on track for either of those things right now. Like I've just no discipline, no follow through. So how am I gonna get there? And I thought, well, where do you go to get discipline and follow through? I'll join the military.
Join the military.
So my dad signed for me at 17 to join the military. I got my GED and went straight into the military. And the recruiter was like, oh, you want to be FBI? Because I knew at that time. I'm like, I want to be, yeah. And he was like, well, if you go military intelligence, it'll give you some of the skills. It'll give you the top secret clearance and like a lot of the things that you're going to need in order to get into the FBI. So that's what I did. And that's where, when I talk about, this kind of way of making decisions, went into basic training in the Army and then went to military intelligence school, and learned how do you structure decisions with, the most high stakes consequences that you can possibly have.
Yeah, that would set a bar.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of things pale in comparison, I would think. Do you think we should go to Panama? It's probably middle of the list, really, with that experience.
I mean, people say that. I went on to, so I joined the National Guard because I didn't have a lot of interest in like going to war. And this was in 2001. So 9/11 had just happened, but I'm like, oh yeah, National Guard. I'm going to be like responding to floods and natural disasters. And I was in basic training, and there was this drill sergeant. He was like, raise your hand if you National Guard and Reserve. And like, a couple of us raised our hands like, you think y'all not going to war? We're all going. We're all going. And he was 100% not wrong. So I pretty quickly found myself deployed to Iraq, and it just it expanded my worldview so much. Yeah. And the things that were happening over there and the decisions that were being made, I thought were just like, a lot of them were just like terrible decisions with terrible consequences. And, but I was like a high school dropout, low ranking person whose opinion didn't matter. And so at that point I was like 20, and I was like, I'm going to get a doctorate so that way nobody can tell me that I don't have the credentials for my opinion to matter.
Amazing. Damn. What is your favorite activity to do with your kids?
Right now, my son is doing this skateboarding stuff. One of the most amazing things about the neighborhood that we live in Panama, is we don't own a car. So to kind of get back to painting a picture of daily life, we don't own a car. Like I'm in my office here, which is in a really cool co-working space with really friendly people. And there's actually right on the other side of me, there's a former NFL running back expat who our kids play together and stuff like that. But yeah, so he lives, I can look out the window. I can see his building is right here. We hang out there. He has kind of get-togethers from these expat get-togethers. And then I live 3 buildings down from there. But there's like skate parks and climbing parks and, all these play places and multiple go-kart, gas go-karts outdoors, electrical go-karts indoors, swimming pool. So there's so many activities, and my son has gotten really into skating, and we love to just walk down to the skate park. My daughter's doing BMX. She's 4 and she's started BMX.
Yes.
And yeah. And my son, it's just incredible. And they have this little it's called the patio, and they have like food and drinks. And so I love going there and watching my daughter zoom around this bike course, and my son, doing all these incredible skateboarding tricks. And he's 7, she's 4. And then we'll just like get some good food, get some drinks. So I'm really loving just being in a community where there's so much focus and resources for children. So
that's so cool.
That's my favorite thing, is like resourcing my kids in ways that I was not resourced for most, for financial reasons.
Yeah.
And being alongside them while they're doing these amazing things.
Oh, that's amazing. What do you and your wife do for date night? Do you get date nights?
Yeah. So I mentioned my mother-in-law lost her home.
Yeah.
And so she has been splitting her time between Pasadena as she's trying to rebuild her house, and out here. And so we kind of have built-in childcare, and there are a lot of great restaurants out here, and like food from all over the world. And so, yeah, there are a lot of expats out here. And I think like 30% of all the expats are like, I should open a restaurant with the food from wherever I'm from. So there's like French, Peruvian, Brazilian, there's just all this amazing food. So we're restaurant people. We're pretty basic. Also, we love movies.
Yeah.
But then we'll also do some cultural stuff like tours, and we did an insane bar crawl one time that was just like a bunch of tourists and us. So we love to get out.
Oh, that's awesome. I've never seen the Panama Canal. I assume you have, because you're right there. I don't know where you go for a walk, but let's just say for the sake of argument that there's a cool walking path beside the Panama Canal, because it's just such a wild place to be close to. And it's not raining yet. Maybe you feel the storm coming at 3:00 or whenever that happens.
Yeah.
But it's still a beautiful day. And you're thinking to yourself, oh man, Apollo, I just wish the world knew this one thing. What is the one thing that you wish the world knew?
That's a great question. And there is actually, I can see the Pacific out my window right now. And there's this trail, this like paved kind of parkway that you can walk along unbroken for about 1.5 miles. And so I have those kinds of walks and those kinds of thoughts pretty frequently out here. The thing that I wish the world knew is the power of decisions. So many people are, especially now when we're inundated with other people's opinions and perspectives and views of, the way other people are living their lives or purport to live their lives. Yeah. Plus we've got all of this information and data, and people think oftentimes that they need more time or more information in order to kind of create the best circumstances for their life. But I have learned that you can kind of bend all of that to what you want with the power of a decision. When you make a bold decision, when we made that decision to move to Panama in 30 days, it made so many things obvious, right? It was like, okay, we're going to have to liquidate our stuff. We're going to have to, it just makes so many things obvious versus saying like, what if we move to like, there are 3 different options we have, and maybe by the end of 2027. And what happens is we get information overwhelmed. We think we need more time. We need more information. But if you make a decision, it will focus the information that you need will become super apparent, right? Like the questions that you need to ask and need to have answered before you move forward or as you're moving forward will become super apparent. And so many people are waiting for permission. They're waiting for more information. They're just trying to wait for more time. They're waiting to see how things play out. That's one of those like phrases that like makes me want to gag.
I am not good. I feel bad. I have said that. I've said that because and here's what I know. Even when I say it, I know I'm just couching because I'm not ready yet. And I'm just, instead of making a decision to be like, no, we're not going, or yes, we're going to go, I'm just being like, we'll see how it goes. We'll check it out. Like, which way the wind blows.
And it's wild because, I mean, that's great that you know that. I don't know if many people do, but the crazy thing is, again, the power of a decision. When you decide something, you can impact how it plays out, quote unquote.
Instead of it happening to you, you're happening to it.
Exactly. And so I think, there have been so many times that people have looked at me and kind of called me crazy for making a big decision. And now, like, I have this crazy resume where I, have a doctorate. I dropped out of basically 4th grade. I have a doctorate. I was in the FBI for 6 years. I was in the military for 20 years. Part of that was as a Green Beret, a U.S. Army Special Forces. I sold one business. I'm supported my family as an entrepreneur. I moved to a foreign country. And so people have stopped calling me crazy. And now they're just like lucky, or it's obvious that but no, it's because I started making these big, bold decisions and placing bets at a young age. And I think that, wherever you are, you have the power to make a big life-changing decision. And I think that so many people are waiting for permission or information or for their fear to subside. And it's like, no, you make the decision and it will shape things moving forward.
Wow. Now here's the thing. You did say you wanted to be in the FBI. We never touched on the fact that you were in the FBI.
I decided. I decided.
What's one thing that you took away from your time there that stays with you? I'm sure there's like a million, but like what's a top of mind?
So I was an intelligence analyst in the FBI as well, just like I was in the military. And the FBI Academy had a couple of pillars that we were taught, but one of them is mindsets and biases. And so there was an instructor there where he was like, critical thinking was I think the pillar. And he was like, critical thinking is thinking about your thinking while you're thinking. Which is like, it was so funny because it got to the point where we would like do the snaps with him. But, you know, it was so cool to go to a place and say, hey, we are inherently flawed thinkers.
Sure.
And so, like, what are all the ways that our thinking can go wrong, that our thoughts can betray us, that the biases that keep us, you know, that make it so that way when we walk up to a door, we don't have to like try to figure it out, right? Like your brain sees it, it's going to turn the handle. If it doesn't turn that way, it's going to turn the other way. Those are biases that'll make the door almost invisible to us, and our body can just knows what to do, right?
Right.
But those same kinds of biases that help us autopilot through life's daily tasks also, they try to also kick in when we're making big decisions or we're evaluating information, right? And so being in the FBI Academy where it was okay and understood that we are flawed thinkers. So now how do we counter that? Because awareness of a bias is not enough to counter it. So we learned structured analytic techniques. We learned how to externalize what's in our brains, how to visualize things so other people can see it and scrutinize it. So again, when it comes to making decisions, I think the thing that I loved is I was with all of these people who were highly dedicated, who were just like super smart and all different kinds of smart, like kind of like computer program nerd smart, but then like philosophy smart, social smart, and just being able to say like, hey, we're going to think about how we think and we're going to get better at thinking. And I've never, I've experienced a lot of cool things across my time in special forces. And like, I've done a lot of school, but I've never been in an environment that has been so focused on how do our brains work? How do they work well? And how do they deceive us? And how do we counter that?
How do I get more of you professionally?
Well, yeah. So the way that I work is I offer one thing, and it is, if you can't tell, decision making. So I help people either navigate a kind of crossroads and a decision point, and or help them increase their confidence in making big, bold decisions well and fast. And so that's the one thing that I do, but I deliver that in a couple of different ways. So I deliver that through speaking, through one-on-one coaching. I am launching right now a group coaching kind of mastermind program. And then I do these 3-day decision-making intensives for executive teams. And if you want to find me, you can find me at apollostrategy.com to get information about any one of those things. Unless you were talking about specifically you, and then as soon as the recording stops, we can talk about it.
Yeah, we'll put all the links down in the show notes. Do you have any things that you do just for you to recharge, or are you just are you kind of like a Tesla braking system that you just, when you're slowing down, you're recharging your battery, or like, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, this is I really enjoy working out, but I think like it's probably more of the Tesla braking system thing. There are certain types of work. I try to stay in the zone where I'm only doing work that lights me up.
Nice.
It's inevitable that you can't stay there.
Yeah.
Like, or that it's inevitable that you stray from that and then have to find your way back. I really truly love, this decision work that I'm doing. So one of the things that recharges my batteries, I serve on a couple of boards. And so being able to do this work where the stakes are kind of lower and I'm able to help folks who, I'm able to help folks for free. Like that recharges my batteries. I got an email this morning that was like, oh my gosh, that 20-minute conversation we had changed my whole approach to work. And it's with a nonprofit that I support. And so like those kinds of things, it is like, it fills two buckets because it's personally, I'm passionate about it. And then it's also kind of validating to be like, oh, you can make a difference in somebody's life in 20 minutes with the thing that I do professionally, So, but I mean, I always say also, how old are your kids?
33 and 31.
Oh man. Well, so you're a long time from these days, but I have a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old, and it's a different kind of battery to just go and be with them to just like follow their lead, and that is another way that I recharge is when I consciously say like, I'm going to go be in their world and say yes to the stuff that's in their world. It's just helps to bring you into the present. You can't be anywhere but the present when you're following a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old around doing what they want to do.
Yeah. Well, you know what? This might surprise you, but both my boys will show up with motorcycles on the doorstep and be like, hey, let's go ride bikes.
Oh,
and we just
snap.
Go, right. So even at this age, it's still that same energy. It's still that same connection. It's still that same, recharge and, seeing life through their eyes. They're seeing it through my eyes. We're seeing it through this Zen-like moment of riding motorcycles through the mountains or whatever. Right. It doesn't stop at, 5 and 8 or, I don't know. So
that's awesome.
It's really cool.
That's really cool. You did something right. I hope my wife and I were talking about that. We're like, man, we're in Panama. They're probably going to want to like go to the States or somewhere after high school. What are what's that going to look like? Are they going to want to come back to us? Are they going to leave us all alone forever?
Well, my eldest took off to Asia for 5 or 6 years, and then the UK, and then like he just went and explored the world. And my youngest has been overseas. He's not as big a traveler as my eldest is, but yeah, that was the weirdest thing at all. Dad, should I go to Asia? I was like, no. And then a buddy of mine was just like, dude, what do you like? What? Like, tell him he should go. I'm just like, I don't want him to go.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Eventually it was just like, oh, have fun. And then I just stressed and I worried and I did the dad thing. And
did you go out there at all?
Yeah. My girlfriend and I went out there a couple of years ago. And we ended up in Manila.
Oh, okay.
And yeah. And then my son took me on a motorcycle trip from Clark to Subic Bay. And so we're riding these bikes down this highway with rice paddies and, those low mountains with the storks and the skinny cows. And, there's monkeys throwing bananas at you. And it was rad. And there are no rules on the road there. It is what's in front of you is the only thing that matters. Everything else.
Yeah. Whew.
Yeah.
Yeah. Driving other places is an experience. I will say, like, people are like, so you'd never been there before? Any drawbacks? And I'm like, really? One. And it's just the driving. Like, it's not insane. I've been places where it's insane where, like any space, it's just assumed that that's a space for a car. Mm-hmm. It's not like that, but every single every single interaction is like a game of chicken. It's like and like, like pedestrians are in the game too. So like when you walk up to an intersection and there's cars, you're playing chicken with the car.
Yeah.
So yeah, we don't have a car yet, and we will get one, but that's like the one drawback to being here is just the driving is like it's a video game. The driving is a video game.
It's fascinating to me to see people walk in North America, pedestrians, and how oblivious they can be to their surroundings and just assume that the car will stop for them, or assume that the pedestrian has a right of way. And you know what I mean? Like by law, in a lot of places, it's supposed to be that way, but it's not like that in the world. Like, at all.
It is not. But it's funny because like the first couple weeks that I was here and we're riding in Ubers, I'm like, oh my gosh, like we're going to get rammed or we're going to get shot because because of the way people, my wife describes it as like, I'm going, no, I'm going, no, I'm going, no, I'm going. Oh, you went. Like, that's how it is. It's like, and so like,
they're not mad about it.
They're not mad. They're just like, okay, you won that one. And like in the States, like there's the intersections are like gridlocked and cars, like literally it's like every interaction is like, if you don't stop, you're just going to hit me. That's just what's going to happen. And everybody's just like one hand on the wheel, chilling.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, this is no blood pressure. They have a saying down here that's cero estrés. Cero estrés. So it's like zero stress. If it's going to cause stress, don't do it.
That's like it. I need to live by that. Oh man, I could talk to you for hours. I'm going to check out your mastermind as well. I have a feeling what your answer is going to be to this question, but on the off chance that I'm wrong, there are people in the world, I'll call them rebels in waiting. These are the people who are about to do a thing, or they're just like, we'll see how it goes, or they're in the middle of doing a thing. What advice do you have for these rebels in waiting to help them get to where they're going?
So I have a 3-part framework. I'm only going to give you part 1 because this will get you started.
Set the hook.
Set the hook. So step 1 is decide with heart. And so often we are deciding with words like, what can I do? What should I do? What could I do? And whenever folks use these words in our work together, I'm like, oh, hold up. Nope. Because can is linked to this idea of what's possible. And can will always change. So if you're deciding what you are going to do on what you can do, like you can gain a new skill that changes you a can't to a can, right? Sure. Something can happen environmentally where it was a can today, but it's a can't tomorrow. Or it's a can't today and tomorrow it's a can. So, making a decision with heart versus what you can do. And then should, anytime you're saying, I should do this, there is always an inherent social link to that thing, right? So I should do this because my parents, or because my neighbors, or because my coworkers, or because like I saw like this biography about Steve Jobs and this is what he did. And so I should do it. So should is always it's rooted in comparison and what are other people thinking about me? And then could is like the most useless one of them all because it's not even as strong as can. It's like, well, I could do blah, blah. Yeah, but like why? And can you actually? Yeah. So the most important thing, there are 2 other steps that really ignite that deciding with heart. But if you're not deciding with heart and you're deciding based off of a can or a could or a should, it's not going to fuel you to get out of bed in the morning. When you hit adversity, you're going to stop because it's like, wait, I don't actually want this. It's not actually lighting me up. And so I think, especially now when globalization, I mean, the possibilities are endless. Here we are in, thousands of miles away from each other, having this amazing conversation that's going to be heard by people all around the globe, right? And this 20 years ago would not have been possible. So basing things off of feasibility is just, there was no option in the past. You worked at the factory in your town and that was the thing. But like now, you don't decide on feasibility, decide on what is gonna get you out of bed, get you excited. That's something that even if you're failing at, that's what I love watching my son do this skateboarding. Like he will fall and he laughs. And then when he gets big tricks, he cries tears of joy.
Amazing.
Like that's how we all need to be living life, is going, what is something that you are willing to bust your ass literally for and get up and be like, all right, I learned from that fall and now I'm going to keep going. So wherever you are, don't think about what you can do or you should do or you could do. Think about what is going to truly fulfill you. What is going to truly, truly light you up. Decide with heart and decide big, and then start moving in that direction.
Damn. I've never, ever had that answer before to this question. And you hit me in the chest with that, like square in the chest. That's an outstanding way to think. And I can't wait for part 2 and part 3, which, maybe we get you back on the show in 6 to 8 months and, we can tease out 2 and 3. But in the meantime, I'm going to figure out how to get into your mastermind group. And
I love it.
Yeah. Anyway, connect with Dr. Apollo. Just Apollo.
That's right. Just Apollo, except for the first time. Then that way I can just correct you,
He needs
that way. Yeah. I need it. Please. I spent a lot of time getting that degree. You know what? Also, I have to say, this is not a paid sponsorship, but we connected a couple of weeks ago, and then you were like, go check out my book. And I was like, oh yeah, I read stuff sometimes. And then I went and I read the first couple of chapters because, the first chapter drew me in, and then you do such a good, or the intro drew me in. Yeah. And you can edit this out if you want to, but
no, I'm keeping it. No, more.
Well, so it was especially relevant to me because I wanted to be on Saturday Night Live. I did theater all growing up.
Right.
I minored in theater when I was in college. And then I did this, there's this program called Upright Citizens Brigade.
Oh yeah, sure.
And so I did there's 4 like levels of improv there. And I did 3 of them. And you tell this story in the beginning that hit me so viscerally of this story of folks doing improv, and it was a competition, and like you were sure that you had it in the bag, and then you did not have it in the bag for a really, really fun reason. You've got to go check out the book to figure out why he lost. But that story right there, I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, I think I'm going to remember this story forever. And the way that you drew the connection between like your improv, like you don't even remember what you did. No. Right. and to lose the competition, but you forever will remember what this woman did to win the competition, and drawing that parallel of that's brands. It's either going to be utterly forgettable, even to the people inside the brand, or you're going to remember it forever. And then you have these bite-sized tidbits of how do you show up more like her and less like your team.
Just like me.
So awesome, phenomenal work, man. I had to tip my hat because it's super cool.
Oh, I appreciate that so much. Damn. Aw, I'm like, aw. I'm speechless. Gosh. Anyway, wow, awkward. I don't take compliments well, but I really do appreciate that. And I do hope more people buy the book. It's called BrandJitsu, and it's move your brand from meh to memorable. But this show is not about that. It is about you, sir. And Apollo, this has been an absolute pleasure. And honestly, I can't wait for part 2 and part 3 of this conversation.
Let's go.
Yeah, gonna do it.
I'll be back.
Yes, sir.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode. Hey, if you're an artist, scientist, entrepreneur, or business owner who wants a smooth and proven method to find, shape, and share your story with the world, head on over to brandjitsu.com and order a copy of my book, BrandJitsu, Move Your Brand from Meh to Memorable. I've been your host, Michael Dargy, and this has been the Rebel Rebel Podcast. It's a podcast for creative rebels and entrepreneurs all over the world. And hey, if you're a rebel or you know a rebel, head on over to the RebelRebelPodcast.com and fill out the guest request form. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time.